Yeah. Want to welcome everybody to the iCast podcast. You know what I mean? Y'all hear the music in the background. Want to give a shout out to my man T Nitty. And let you guys know, man, y'all in for a special treat, man. Special treat tonight, y'all. For real, for real. Word. But tonight on the iCast podcast, we have none other than The Last Emperor. You know what I mean? Y'all remember The Last Emperor? Straight out of West Philly. Word. Definitely a legend in the game, a legendary cat, a cat that's in his own lane. Right now I'm playing his song Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Super lyrical cat. When you think of underground, this is definitely a cat that definitely comes to mind, man. Word, The Last Emperor. Also, this is actually the last episode of 2020 for the iCast podcast. So I just want to give a shout out to all my followers, man, and all my subscribers and all my listeners, man. Keep smashing that like button. Keep subscribing, keep following, man. Leaving comments, because we're going to continue to hit y'all with the content. You know what I mean? Continue to bring you guys guests like this guest right here. You know what I mean? This cat be doing voices, impressions, everything, man. Super lyrical, stories. You gotta fucking reference. You gotta watch fucking Infinity War a couple times. You gotta watch the Black Panther. You gotta watch the whole Marvel shit, man, to go and listen to this cat, man. You know what I mean? Real dope shit, man. I was saying, I had a pleasure, man, listening to his music, man, and just getting acquainted, man. And I feel like this is something that the industry missed right here, man. So it's definitely an honor and a pleasure, man, to have this cat on here, man, for real. Word. So yeah, brother, man, you know what I mean? If you wouldn't mind coming in and joining us.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us The Last Emperor, y'all. Word up.
Salute.
What's good with you, brother, man?
Salute. Oh man, I'm pleased to be here. I'm feeling great. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm in the building, man. Let's go.
That's what's up, man. Definitely, it's definitely an honor and a pleasure, man, to have you on with us, man. I want to give a shout out to my man Jay Brown. You know what I mean? I'm, a mutual homie.
Salute.
I linked us up, man. Salute to you, bro. You know what I mean? And yeah, man. So let's get to it, man. Last Emperor, man. As I was saying, man, it was a pleasure, man, listening to your music, man. Your first album, Music, Magic, and Myth.
Yes, sir.
Later on, you know what I mean? You put out Jungle Gym.
Yes, sir.
2018, Lord of the Fly, 2019. I might be skipping around. I know you probably got projects in between there, but we gonna get to all that, man. But first of all, like I said, man, I want to welcome you to the show, brother. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very pleased to be here.
Word up, man. And I just want to ask you, man, growing up as a kid, man, like before hip hop, came around, like, I'm sure, me and you probably, like the same age. There was a time when like there was no hip hop. There was a time when like,
that's right,
we ain't had no Run DMC. But so when you were a kid, because I'm trying to get some insight as to what made you the lyricist that you are today. What kind of music were you listening to back when you were a kid, man? You know what I
mean? Pretty much everything. Fortunately enough, I had parents that were very, very, very musically inclined. They were very much into music. My mom was like more of a jazz aficionado. So
Okay.
of course she would play everything from, Miles Davis. She was a huge John Coltrane fan. Um, Everything from that to like Stan Getz, um, Brazil '66, all that sort of thing. And then my dad was all over the place with it as well. Everything from Sam Cooke to Curtis Mayfield to
Mm,
you name it. So I got a pretty well balanced palette in terms of growing up in the household and what my parents were listening to. I just absorbed all of that.
right. Okay. So you from West Philly, right?
Yes, sir. I'm from the Cobbs Creek section, which is um one of the sections of West Philly.
Uh-huh.
Um, 15 minutes to the left of me is people like live people like Will Smith. 15 minutes to the right of me live people like Jazzy Jeff.
Mm,
Um, I live in the shadows of like the Hilltop, which gave us pop art records.
mm.
Artists like Steady B, Cool
Talk about it.
C,
Mm-hmm.
um, people like that. So I grew up uh, before these people had actual recordings and records. I remember seeing people like Schoolie D at like 52nd Street YMCA
Mm.
before, and this is before records, or you
Okay.
know the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff at like the Wynn Ballroom before they became as large as they were, and stuff like that. So
Mm.
yeah, if people take a look at West Philly, of course, we want to give respect and all praise due to all of the sections. But pound for pound, in terms of national exposure, West Philly has put out the majority of the nationally known artists. Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince,
Uh-huh.
Bahamadia,
Mm.
Schoolie D, who is arguably the godfather of gangster rap.
Mm.
Um, of course, like I said, Steady B, Cool C, the youngsters.
Mm.
The list goes on and on, but pound for pound, we've put out the majority of the artists that have gotten national exposure. So I grew up, I went to Overbrook High School, the same high school as like Wilter Still Chamberlain.
Mm.
Um, the Fresh Prince went to my high school, Steady B went to my high school,
Okay.
the youngsters. So I grew up around all these people and seeing them in very close proximity before they became large. So that was like my early hip hop influence.
Okay. So wow. That was a long-winded answer, but it was all good. It was all good though. So being in Philly, growing up around all these people, I guess they weren't famous at the time yet, but what what influenced you to start getting into this hip hop thing, and who were those the guys that influenced you to start rapping?
Yeah, I would say just seeing the movement that Pop Art Records had.
Right.
Again, they had Steady B, Cool C, Lawrence and Dana Goodman, who were the founders of Pop Art Records, were also the father and uncle of the youngsters. So that led me to believe that it was possible to be from West Philly. And also, they also managed Will Smith for Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince for many years. So
Right.
that led me to believe that it was possible. Now, even before that movement, though, I would say as early as like 12 or 13. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're talking like 1984, 1985. So, seeing hip hop progress locally in my community and in the schools that I went to, just like everybody else, lunchtime, people are banging on lunch tables. I'm seeing local MCs just, the whole rhyming thing. I knew at an early age, 12, 13, I had an ability to write rhymes and, you
Okay.
know, just for my friends and my homies around the way.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, man, it just is organic. It was just organic. That's what everybody was doing, and not
Mm-hmm.
just MCing, but also I tried my hand at b-boy and breakdancing. I was pretty good with that. I was
Right.
pretty good at popping. I was
Yeah.
pretty good at all of those things. Graffiti, I still to this day got a nice graffiti tag. So
Mm-hmm.
just hip hop was just real vibrant. At the same time that I'm going through puberty, many of us we're like the same age, so we're going through
Yeah.
puberty and we're also being involved in this. So I think they both go hand in hand.
Definitely, man. Definitely. You mentioned the five elements, man. Those are kind of like forgotten these days, man. You know what I mean? When you mention graffiti writing, when you mention breakdancing, um, back then you kind of had to dabble in all of that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, which was kind of dope about the era. But I feel like the five elements, that's something that nowadays they just focus on the MC. You know what I mean? Also with Philly, Philly is also known for having like the dope DJs. You know what I mean? You guys are also
Absolutely.
like known for putting the DJ first. Like for instance, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right.
Definitely,
That's right.
man.
Shout out to Jazzy Jeff. I've worked with him. Salute to Cash Money. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, here in Philly, we always have that kind of debate. Jazzy Jeff or Cash Money. Like
Right.
those are prominent dudes. And but also I gotta give a shout to Tap Money, um, DJ Miz. I went to high school with
Definitely.
DJ Miz.
Fresco and Miz.
Yeah. I went to high school with DJ Miz. Like
Okay.
knew him before he even blew up and all that. Yeah, man.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So back then, what was your name, man? Like you didn't, I mean, did you go by the last emperor or like what you call yourself back then?
Everything from Mall G's to Mall Ski to you know what I mean, like Swifty J. For a while, I was going by Swifty J. All those names, all those '80s,
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
80s names. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Anything that was fresh in the '80s, but yeah, Swifty J kind of stuck with me for a number of years. I kind of had a fast flow back then, so yeah.
Yeah, so you was was it is it safe to say you was a smart kid in school?
Yeah,
Got
definitely.
good
Well,
grades and all that type of shit?
yeah, pretty much. Well, I grew up in the Nation of Islam. My parents were both in the
Mm,
Nation of Islam.
okay.
Like like you have Malcolm X. My mom was Eleanor 4X, and my dad was Willie 13X.
Mm,
So knowledge of self and knowing about my culture, my history was always promoted in my home.
mm,
Very early on, I went to the local Sister Clara Muhammad, which is the school that those in the Nation of Islam throughout the country were enrolled in during that time.
mm,
So that was very, very pivotal in creating my mind and just helping me cultivate myself and knowing who I was and knowing had just having knowledge of self. So I always prided education. Even when I ultimately went to public school
mm.
in like the 7th or 8th grade, I I still carried that with me. So education has always been something that I always prided myself. I always enjoyed. I love
Mm.
learning.
Okay.
I love learning.
All right. So when did comic books come into your life, man?
I would say as early as about 8, 9. I have two uncles that are like 13 years older than me
Mm.
and about 16 or 17 years older than me. So they were teenagers when I was really, really little, and they collected comic books. So
Okay.
I kind of inherited what they were doing. And I just, it starts by the artwork. I started just, liking what I saw visually.
Yeah.
They're old enough to have had Hot Wheels, believe it or not, actually had a comic book back then. Hot Wheels, go figure.
Okay.
But I remember that being one of the first stories that I picked up. And then just over time, I just started collecting myself. I remember when comics only costed 25 cents. You'd go to the corner store, a comic book was only 25 cents. In fact,
Mm.
some of them that may not have the full covers on them, you might get three for 25 cents.
Uh,
So that coupled with just popular culture, I was always a TV head.
mm-hmm.
So I also remember like the Fantastic Four 1967 or 68 cartoon.
Mm.
Of course, I saw it in reruns. I wasn't born
Yeah.
until 72.
Right.
But yeah, man. So I've been down with comics since about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, but you not like I'm in the comics, and I would say I'm like an average fan, but you seem like like you like your knowledge like is real extensive. It's really deep with it. Like it seemed like you really when you were a kid, when you did you have like a real vivid imagination?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But and I not only collect comics, I also collect like vintage toys and action figures to this
Right.
day. I
Okay.
still got a really husky. I'm a nerd.
Collection.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For lack
yeah.
of a better term, I'm a nerd. It is what
Right.
it is. Like, to be honest, I did do the street thing, but
Uh-huh.
always at the end of the day, that my getaway from the streets and get away from the harsh realities that we've all endured during the 70s and 80s was those comic books.
Right.
So anything popular culture at that time, whether it was Marvel comics, whether it was Transformers, Thundercats, you name it, I was into all of that.
Yeah. Me too, man. Me too. The same way,
Yeah,
man. So at
yeah.
what point did you start saying like, all right, we know you started taking this rhyme thing serious?
I would say serious. I would say my sophomore year at Lincoln University.
Mm.
You know, all through, I would say ever since I was about 12, I was always the guy on like Friday, Saturday nights. We hanging out with the homies.
Uh-huh.
We might be sitting around drinking 40s or whatever. And, I was the entertainment. I was,
Mm.
yo, Maul, kick, spit that rap you was spitting the other day, kicking the other
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
So, I was always the rapper out of my crew.
Okay.
I had another homie. He's deceased now, but he was like my human beatbox.
Mm.
And some of the older guys, even in the neighborhood, when they were hustling, I was the entertainment. So they'd be like, "Yo, go get Maul from around the block. Tell him to come around here and spit them rhymes he was spitting the other day." And
Okay.
then that even elevated to, yo, it's a guy on 58th Street. They say he can rap real well. We gonna put some money on you to go
Mm.
around there. So they
So
would actually
battling.
put
So you
right.
started battling. Okay.
Yeah, so I started battling, and like, some of the hustlers, the dope dealers would put money on me going around there. And because I
Okay.
was so into my schoolwork, my vocabulary was much larger than my age. So I was
Yeah.
like 12, but I was able to spit rhyme for rhyme with kids that were like 16, 17, 18. So
Mm-hmm.
they would take me to other blocks, make money off of me and all that. Some of them still
Yeah.
owe me money, but that's neither here nor there. But so yeah, since I was like 12, but when I got to Lincoln University, there was another brother who was in the political science department with myself by the name
Okay.
of Q,
Uh-huh.
who heard me rhyme, saw me rhyme at a talent show. He was from
Mm.
Brooklyn. He's from Brownsville. And
Okay.
he was like, yo, when we get out of school, you got to do something with this. Like, no more games, no more playing around. You got to do something with this. So it got serious in my sophomore year.
Okay. All right. So I guess at this time you was recording demos and things like that.
Well, when we got out of Lincoln University in '95, um, we got right on to working out, getting creating a demo.
Okay.
Another mutual friend by the name of Nick from Lincoln said, actually he was from Willingboro, New Jersey.
Okay.
He
Shout out to
said
Willow, bro.
shout out to the borough. That's thorough. Yeah, he said he had a homie named Big Tyke that had like a studio in his crib and that he made demos.
Okay.
So he linked us up. I made the demo in like the winter. I want to say winter, almost '95 going into '96, and that was the demo. We did like a 4 or 5 song demo, and that circulated in the tri-state area shortly
Mm.
thereafter.
All right. Did it have a title? What was it? What was it called?
Yeah, it had no title, but it had a few songs on it. Mind Over Matter. I think a little bit of Secret Wars.
Mm.
Another record called Animalistics.
Mm-hmm.
A record called The Bums, and another record called Monumental. And
Okay.
that's the same demo that ended up landing in the hands of Dr. Dre.
Mm. Okay. So hold up a bit. So
Okay.
all right. So you got the demo. Uh, I wanted to ask you about when did you start rhyming with the comic, with the comic references? Was that something that you always did, or was that something that developed later on, like when you were battling cats? Were you using those were you using comic bars in your battle raps?
No, not then. I mean, I realized when I was putting together a demo. Now, mind you, this is 1995.
Right.
Um, So from like 94 to 95 is when I'm writing the rhymes that would end up on the demo. And you got to remember at that time you had, I mean, you know, the competition was really thick then.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah. Those were
I
really
think
golden years in hip hop,
yeah,
man.
yeah, for sure. So you got dudes like, you know, Nas, you got dudes like Redman, you got dudes like, you know, another person that I really value in terms of their creativity, like at that time he was with Organized Confusion, but Pharaoh Monch.
Okay.
You know, all of these are creative guys and they do records that are bred. They always have that one or two records on an album that are like super creative, super
Hmm.
lyrical, super like conceptual,
Yeah,
for lack of a better term, conceptual. So I
exactly.
realized in order for me to get into the game and really make a strong impact, I gotta really push the envelope conceptually. Now, Secret Wars, in terms of the comic books, that started out as just something I would do at my shows in between like songs that were on the demo. I
Uh-huh.
do like I had maybe like 4 or 5 fights. So the producer that I was working with, Big Tight, that put together the demo, he said, "Look, man, that thing that you do between between sets is like really crazy. You should really do a full out song like that." So I
Hmm.
said, "All right, cool." You know, so I went and sat down for a couple of months and just came up with Secret Wars. And so, you know, I think we recorded that for the first time like right after the demo, right after the demo.
Okay.
So like late
Okay.
'95, yeah.
So when you recorded it, you had all the voices and all that you were doing, all that was in there.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, every voice, everything, because it actually comes as an extension of, again, I collect action figures. And you know, when
Hmm.
you're a kid and you're sitting there with your action figures or whatever, and you're acting out scenes and you're like, you know, Cobra Commander is fighting. You know what I mean? So you're doing voices as you're doing that. So
Right.
really, Secret Wars is just an extension of that role play.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that for real. That's what's up, man. So uh how did that turn into you now getting signed? Did you go to did you go to different labels and all that? You know, talk about that process. How'd you go about getting, you know what I mean?
Well, definitely. My brother Q, again, that we met at Lincoln University, the political science department. He uh, he became my manager,
Okay.
and he's very hardworking, very diligent brother. Very, definitely has that strong Brooklyn aesthetic, that drive, and that we gonna make this happen regardless, sort of aesthetic, Brooklyn warrior aesthetic.
All
And he
right.
was like, "Yo, you know, now that we got the demo together, I'm just going to shop this to every label." So you remember back then, it was like you definitely sent your tape to every label, whether it was Def
Hmm.
Jam, whether it was Virgin, whether it was you name it, Loud. We shopped it to everybody.
Right.
We had a few meetings at a few places, but as fate would have it, the way that I actually got signed was there was another brother who went to Lincoln University by the name of Damon Johnson. We
Okay.
call him Dame Dollars. And he told me, I actually went and did a homecoming show in '96 and opened up for KRS-One.
Okay.
So while we were there, Dame was about to graduate. He said, "Look, man, when I get out of Lincoln, I'm going out to the West Coast to work with my brother who does videos for Dr. Dre, Geronimo Films. I
Okay.
can't promise you anything, but I can promise you that I can play this demo for Dr. Dre, and I think he'll probably like it." So I was like, "All right, cool." We hit him off with the demo. He kept his word. He flew out to LA after he got out of Lincoln. And about a year later, I got a phone call saying that, Dr. Dre was interested in signing me.
Hmm.
And yeah, we got flown out to Cali and I ended up signing with Aftermath Records.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. So it took Dre a year to get back.
Well, yeah, approximately, yeah, about a year, maybe
Yeah.
even a little change. Now remind you, at that time, Dr. Dre, I guess a year, maybe 2 years prior to that, he had left Death Row Records.
Hmm.
I know he put out whatever album had like been there, done that. Whatever you remember that. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
that
of
record.
course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, 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 yeah. So um, I know Interscope kind of looked at him like, that record was a success, but in terms of what their expectations were for Dr. Dre,
Uh-huh.
it didn't quite hit the mark.
Right.
So he began to sign a slew of artists. Myself, Eve,
Yes.
who went on to have success with the Rough
Rough
Riders.
Riders.
Dawn Robinson from In Vogue
In Vogue,
was
yep.
also one of my label mates. King T was
Mm.
also my label mate.
Okay.
A bunch of people, a bunch of other R&B acts. Some of their names and titles escape me, and then ultimately also Marshall Mathers, aka Slim Shady,
Yes,
was
sir.
also signed at the same time too. So yeah, we were all label mates during that time, and yeah, man, I was a part of the Aftermath family.
All right. So how'd you feel, man? Like, take us back to when you got that call and like did Drake call himself or did he have a representative call? Like how did that go down?
Yeah, he called my crib. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I was like, I'm watching TV. My sister's upstairs. Back then, of course, everybody had a landline.
Uh-huh.
So, I hear the phone ring, but I know, my sister normally handles the landline. So she called me. She was like, yo, it's somebody on the phone playing on the phone. Like, you need to come to the phone. I'm like, yo, what you mean they playing on the phone? What's up? There's
Right.
somebody on the phone saying they're Dr. Dre. So I'm like,
uh-huh.
yeah. I'm like, yo, all right, all right, all right, all right. So I go get on the phone. Hello? Hey, yo, homie, this Dre. Yo,
Mm.
I heard your demo, and I said, yo, is this really Dr. Dre? He was like, hell yeah. I said, oh shit. So
Oh shit.
so I'm like, yo, I was like, yo, it's really you. So he was like, yo, I heard your demo. I really enjoy it. I played it for all my peoples. Everybody's over
Mm.
here, doing cartwheels over it. I want
Mm.
to fly you out here and have a conversation with you. So I was like, yo, that's what's up. So the next thing I know, we flew out to Cali, and
Mm.
yeah, man, the rest is history, man. Warm weather, fresh greenery, scenery, beautiful women, that whole everything you can imagine from the
Yeah.
West Coast at that time. It was right and exact.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. That's what's
Yeah.
up. So what's going through your mind? Are you like, man, like, yo, all this hard work, all this blood, sweat, and tears finally, paid off and shit?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yo, this
What
is
frame
it.
of mind were you in?
I'm like, this is it. We rocking. But one thing, I mean, because fortunately enough of having knowledge of self and also being knowledgeable about, now mind you, during this time I've been doing like the Lyricist Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to New York City.
Okay.
I lived in Brooklyn, so I'm already rubbing shoulders with like the likes of, I mean, every MC you can name out of New York at that time.
Mm.
And I'm getting advice from some of these people too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm paying attention to what they're saying. I'm paying attention to some of the things that other artists have been through. So I definitely didn't go out there just, totally unaware of the pitfalls of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was on my P's and Q's, and the reason why I ultimately felt comfortable enough to sign with Dr. Dre was a conversation I had with him. He said he was really sincere about changing the direction that his musical career had gone in, as
Mm.
far as NWA and really
Uh-huh.
specifically Death Row. I
Uh-huh.
think he had seen a lot of negative stuff during the Death Row era, and he
Uh-huh.
just wanted to. He told me verbatim, "I want to go in a different direction, and I think you're the sort of artist that may take me in that different direction." So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I felt good. I felt good about signing. I felt that Dre was sincere about
Mm.
wanting to do something a little bit different. I knew the sort of artist I was, and that it'll be. I just kept envisioning my rhymes over Dr. Dre's production, which I just
Mm-hmm.
felt like, yo, this is about to be crazy.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I signed the Aftermath, and in the beginning, it was all good.
Okay. So you signed an Aftermath. You and Dre are in there. So now you're recording for music, music, magic, and myth.
Yeah. Well, the
What?
first few songs that I recorded, I didn't know what they would become. You know, it's
Oh,
like
okay,
kind of like
okay.
just we're feeling each other out. Dre is feeling me out. I'm feeling him out.
Yeah.
You know, we
So what was
recorded
that
some.
like, man? Like you see how Death Row, you know what I mean, had the ill, you know, you had gangsters up in there and Suge had the pit bulls. What was like Aftermath studios like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it was much more calm situation.
Uh-huh.
The few times that I did actually go into the lab with them. Um, and you know, I saw some things in terms of like I guess you could say the remnants of that situation. Nothing too crazy. I remember
Uh-huh.
one time they said Suge was outside the studio or something like that, and the studio went in some like crazy type of lockdown, and
Mm.
everybody's running around, and
Oh,
you
really?
know people are hiding and stuff like hiding under tables and stuff like that.
Wow.
But yeah, man. So you know it got funky a couple of times, but for the most part, I have to credit Dre with keeping me and Q kind of isolated from any negativity
Uh-huh.
because he knew from the rip like that wasn't what we were about. We were very militant and very minded about we were for lack of a better term revolutionary minded. So
Okay.
we were all about seeing our people get put in a better place. And again, we came from the political science department. We studied under someone who was very astute as far as socialism is concerned. And
Uh-huh.
we just were trying to put together a hardcore positive hip hop album. So the
Uh-huh.
first few times that I got in with Dre, I mean, it was dope, but it started to be a problem where he had so many artists that I felt like I wasn't getting the kind of attention that I
Mm.
deserved.
I was gonna ask you that. Like
Yeah.
what kind of access did you have to Dre? You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the beginning it was dope and it was on point. But as time progressed, he just started concentrating on other acts and other stuff. And I
Like
started to
who?
feel,
Like who was the that would ask that he was
well,
fucking with?
whatever went on to those artists that went on to be on the Chronic, is it the Chronic 2000 album or
But wasn't
2001 or something?
there was a compilation, I believe, an Aftermath compilation that came out.
Right,
Were
right.
you
Now I
on
think
that?
I no, I started recording shortly after that.
Okay,
Whenever they
okay.
put that together, because I think even like Eve is on it, the Eve of Destruction record.
Right, exactly.
Right now, that's on there, but I came a little bit after that.
Okay.
So um yeah, man, we recorded a few songs, but again I just felt like I wasn't getting into the studio like I should be,
Mm-hmm.
and it culminated in a situation where even Eve felt the same way.
Okay.
So she and I, the same night, we popped up on Dre. We found out a studio he was recording out of, and we just popped up, uh, unbeknownst to him and whoever else was in the studio, and we just stepped to him like, "Yo, what's up? Like, we've been on the label for this long, for several months. We not in the lab like we feel like we should be. Like, what's up? Like, what's going on?" So Dre was like, "Listen, this is not a 50-yard dash. It's a marathon. These are his words verbatim."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, as a matter of fact, now I think he was a little upset that we popped up on him like that.
I'll
So he
bet.
was like, "Look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to throw a beat on. I'm giving everybody like maybe 15, 20 minutes to write, and let the best man or woman, win." So I don't know everybody that was in the studio, but I do know like I think Hitman, who went on to be on that Chronic album, was
Mm-hmm.
in there.
Okay.
So he threw the beat on, everybody spit their verse, and I kid you not, me and Eve ran through every MC that was in there
Mm.
that
Yeah,
night.
Eve was dope.
Yeah,
I'm sure she
yeah,
still got a hot
yeah.
16. You know what I
And
mean?
and I know at the time people might have been wondering whether she wrote her own rhymes. I saw her write her own rap
Mm.
that day. So
Shout out
she
to
was
Eve.
official. Shout out, salute to the first lady of Rough Riders and all that. Eve, the Eve of Destruction. But yeah, man, she put it down. I put it down. In fact, that's the same night that Dre met Scott Storch, who went on
Mm.
to produce like Dre Day and all of
Yep.
that. So yeah, man.
Keyboardist.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So in this process, man, how does All right, so what year are we talking about now when you signed with Aftermath?
We're talking 1997.
Okay, 1997. All right. So had you done the Lyricist Lounge song with KRS-One and Rage Against the Machine? Zach De La Roca?
I think that was the same year. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, it was the same year because what was happening was I was bouncing around from uh, New York City to LA to going back and forth. Of course, New
Okay.
York
So
was
you was
like
you was like
my
busy.
home
You was
base.
like networking and just
Yeah, yeah. Everything was happening at the same time. And
right.
around that time, the guys at the Lyricist Lounge, I had been doing that showcase for a couple of years, and they
Okay.
came to me like, listen, man, how would you feel about doing a record with KRS-One? I said, oh hell yeah.
Right.
So, and then they said, well, we would also like to feature the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine. And what they didn't know is I was already a fan of Rage
Mm.
from Bulls on Parade and a lot of those songs. I'm from Philadelphia, where one of our unsung heroes is a political prisoner by the name of Mumia Abu Jamal.
Oh yes.
And yes, Zach De La Roca has always been very outspoken in terms of the imprisonment of Mumia.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew who he was, and I already was a fan of his music. So it was a no-brainer. So I mean, to be on that record with those two titans was incredible.
And y'all recorded it right there, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What was
same
that? What was that
studio.
session like? Take us into that, you know what I mean? That session.
Yo, I remember they said they gave me the day that it was supposed to go down. I'm living in Brooklyn at the time, so I go to Manhattan. I go to whatever studio it was, and KRS is already there, and
Mm-hmm.
we're having a conversation. Now, mind you, prior to that, I had already done a few shows with KRS-One. I had a few run-ins with him, so he knew who I
Okay.
was, and so he was like, "Yo, okay, yo, Last Emperor, this is what we're going to talk about. Okay, it's going to be the CIA has been funneling cocaine in the black community for a number of years, and we're going to talk about that." So I'm like, "All right, cool, that's what's up." So shortly thereafter, Zach comes in,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, he asked what the topic was, and Chris just basically ran a point on that, and we just
Uh-huh.
followed suit. But during that time, information began to come out about the CIA's involvement in funneling large quantities of cocaine to urban communities.
Mm.
And at that time, it was sort of like an urban myth. Now, today, I believe last year, there was a movie that came out, a major motion picture. The title escapes me, where
Uh-huh.
Tom Cruise plays one of these CIA operatives who
Uh-huh.
was fundamental in funneling this cocaine to the urban communities. So
Oh
what we
shit.
were talking about then, which was just urban myth and conspiracy, now we
Mm-hmm.
know that that was actual. It actually was happening. So
Right.
KRS-One, salute to him for having the foresight of putting that information out there. He's always
Oh man.
prided himself with edutainment. So it
Oh
was
man.
great, man. Just to be I was nervous. I was in the booth with both of
All
them.
right.
I was nervous.
All right.
I'm rapping 1,000 miles a minute. That's the only thing I regret about my work on that record is that I wish I would have slowed my flow down just a little bit. But
Yeah.
it was a monumental experience, and I'm very, very honored to have been on the record with them.
All right. That's what's up, man. So uh 97 you got signed. Music, Magic, and Myth comes out what year?
That actually ended up coming out in 2002.
Okay, 2002. So from that time, that 5 years, what was going on with the Last Emperor? Now I was saying I do remember I remember you getting unsigned hype in the source.
Yes, sir.
I remember reading about you. I remember your entry into the game, but what was going on between that time? I guess you were
Constantly,
putting the record together, or
yeah, constantly recording, constantly recording.
okay,
I ended up pretty much being mentored by Prince Paul, who
mm,
many of us should know from being the DJ of Stetsasonic,
yes, sir,
from being the producer of many of the De La Soul albums,
yes,
the
sir,
early work of De La Soul. from his work with Grave Diggers and working with the RZA and all of
Yes,
that.
sir.
Um, whether it be that or his stuff with Dan the Automator and Handsome Boy Modeling School and all those records.
Mm.
I ended up being under the tutelage of Prince Paul. He um he just had me recording. Uh, I also worked closely with like the Beat Miners. I gotta definitely. They treated me like a younger brother. Mr. Walt and Evil D treated me
Mm-hmm.
like a younger brother. They always had
Right.
me come and record. They always put me on projects that they had going on. I
Right.
was blessed enough to actually record at D&D Studios.
Okay.
I actually, I did a bunch of touring for people like Boot Camp and
Yeah.
salute to Smith and Wesson. They always
Yes,
treated
sir.
me like a brother. Yeah, so I just constantly
Okay.
recorded with the
Right.
Beat Miners, with Prince Paul, and with Diamond D. Those were the three major entities that kind of kept me afloat and kept me in the studio during that
Uh-huh.
time. So yeah,
Yeah. Here we are. Um,
yes sir,
the Block Party.
yes sir. Now the
Something.
Block Party definitely is a special record because that's a interpolation. That's a remake of Ghost Stetsa One.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Daddy O was right there in the studio with us. Bobby Simmons, who's the drummer for Stetson Sonic, was right there.
Okay.
He played the drums on
Oh,
that.
really?
Yes. Uh,
Okay. Because the
of
drums
course,
it
Prince.
sounded exactly alike. I thought y'all probably sampled it in the NP or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Bobby Simmons from same guy from Stetson Sonic from Flavor Videos. I know for a number of years he did Flavor Videos that was on BCAT in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So they gave us the blessing to kind of do a modern day version of that. And again, salute to Smith and Wesson because they
Yeah.
came. It didn't take them long to write. They got right in the pocket.
Mm.
It was just like it was something that was meant to be. So
That's a
that's a
dope
special
record.
record. Yeah.
Definitely a dope record, man. So yeah, talk about the skits on there, man, because I love the skits because I was telling you that it reminds me like you were doing Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones, bro. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I like that you were doing the different voices and yeah, it was just it was real conceptual and I think that's something that a lot of albums miss. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't music don't a lot of people don't do concept albums like that. But
Right.
you put in some work, man. Like I said, but talk about your inspiration for the for those skits on there, man.
Again, just always acting out things, and
Real
I just wanted
theatrical.
to, yeah, very theatrical, very cinematic, and I wanted to always. I knew whenever I put an album together that I wanted it to be sort of like that, and I knew that I knew who to go to bring that out of me. So
Hmm.
of course, Prince Paul is like credited as the producer who first put skits on an album
Yeah,
as far
on
as
me,
the De La Soul.
3 feet high and rising.
Iron Rising. That's right. So that's the main reason that I reached out to him in the beginning to have him mentor me, and
Hmm.
I knew he would know exactly where I was going with it, and
Right.
he did. So
Okay.
of course it's me doing the voices, but the actual piecing it together, that's Prince
Hmm.
Paul that did that.
Oh,
So yeah, man. So he's Prince Paul for a reason, and
yeah.
very talented brother. Like I said, that's my OG in the game. That's my mentor to this day. And yeah, so I just wanted to have a record that just wasn't just okay rhymes and beats. I wanted it to be very storybook fashion.
Yeah.
So even though it never obviously went platinum or anything like that, anyone who's heard it definitely feels like you feel, that
Right.
they're almost watching a movie or listening to a movie
Right.
when they hear it. And so on that note, mission accomplished.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I definitely feel uh like I missed out on that. Like and like I was saying, I can't believe how that could even happen, man. A project this good, a project this solid, man. What kind of so this came out under Aftermath?
No, it actually, by the time this record came out, I left Aftermath in like
Mm.
99 going into 2000, because again, I
Okay.
just felt like Dre was just like kind of like moving too slow in terms of working with me. So
So they just.
I stayed on Interscope Respective for about another year, but they didn't really know what to do with me.
Mm,
Um, Even Eve left Aftermath, but what happened was Eve got absorbed by Rough Riders, by
mm-hmm,
DNY. So even though she stayed on the Interscope umbrella, they just kind of scooped her up and brought her over there. But
mm-hmm,
with me, I lingered on Interscope for about a year, but they didn't really know what to do with
mm.
me. And I always think about I had an A&R, my last A&R. He was a really nice guy. He was actually married to someone from the Arquette family. You know, you got actors like David Arquette,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
John Arquette. He was the husband of one of those people.
Okay.
Really nice guy, but he didn't really know what to do with me. And every time I think about him, I think about that line that the genius says, "Who's your A&R? A mountain climber who plays an electric guitar." But he don't know the meaning of dope, because he was like that. He was a guy. He played a guitar. He was into
Yeah.
like surfing and mountain climbing and all that. But he
Mm,
didn't really know hip hop.
okay.
So, I mean, he did the best he could do with me, but I ended up having to leave Interscope altogether. So, Music Magic Myth ended up coming out on an independent label called Raptivism in
Okay.
2002.
Okay. Yeah. As I said, dope project. I just wish it would have got uh more of a push, man, because I feel like it was, like I
Right.
said, it was so solid. Ayatollah also
Yeah.
uh did some production on that album.
Yeah, that's the homie right there, man. Ayatollah is an extremely talented dude. Like, extremely talented. I just talked to him about a week ago, man. He's out on the West Coast now, and he's doing his thing, man. But he's definitely a talented dude.
All right, that's what's up, man. So after the album comes out, 2002, where are you now? What direction, you know what I mean? Career wise.
Yeah, pretty much. During that time and up till about maybe 2005, I was just touring. I
Okay.
just toured. I went everywhere I could go, anywhere that would have me. Um, and just to backtrack a little bit, even before the record was released on Raptivism,
Uh-huh.
I was signed to Raucous Records.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was signed to Raucous for a minute, and they were going through a transitional period where they were initially all about, I guess, what we would call quote unquote real hip hop and letting
Right.
artists do what they naturally do. And then somewhere along the line, they wanted to try to compete with the larger labels. And so they started changing the sort of music they were putting up. And unfortunately enough, I came right at a time where they started tripping and going through
Mm,
some changes. So here I am on another situation, another label that just doesn't know what to do with my music. And so I just had to throw that in there. I was on Raucous for like a year also.
okay.
Um, yeah, man. But throughout the whole time, I'm always doing shows. I'm
Okay.
always touring. Um, many places. Put full use to my passport, so I got to
Mm.
see. If nothing else, I got to see a great deal of the world.
What's like the dopest place you've been to, man? And got the most love at?
I would say, in terms of the most love, I would have to say somewhere in Europe. I would probably say like Paris. I
Okay.
think that really stands out. I think for me to see Paris and all the history that Paris has, I grew up always. One of the main influences in my storytelling
Uh-huh.
is an author by the name of Alexander Dumas,
Okay.
and he's responsible for writing The Three Musketeers, The
Okay.
Man in the Iron Mask, The
Mm.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Mm.
Growing up, I always read his material, and that heavily influenced me. So for me to be able to go and travel to France and travel to
Mm.
Paris and see some of the monuments involved in the whole Parisian lifestyle was very important to me.
All right.
Second to that would be a tour that I did about 2003. I got an opportunity to do a 13 city U.S. city tour with a group called Gorillas.
Okay.
And
Yep.
yeah, many
They
people know
dope.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. the actual MC who really works with Gorillas and really
Uh-huh.
did the records is Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Yeah.
For some reason, he was unable to do this tour. They needed a backup, so they called yours truly.
Uh,
I ended up doing 13 cities. The final city we did was Mexico City, which was
uh-huh.
a very, very, for lack of a better term, spiritual experience. I got to not only visit but go inside some of the temples and monuments in
Mm,
uh, a complex of pyramids down there called Teotihuacan.
mm.
Um, so I got to visit the pyramids of Mexico. Had a very, very,
Wow.
surreal spiritual experience. Saw some things that probably should be belong on a sci-fi channel and stuff like
Mm.
that. So,
I bet.
yeah, man. Got to tour with Gorillas. So shout out to Gorillas too.
That's dope, man. I could definitely see you working with the Gorillas, man, because they're a band that their aesthetic is like a cartoon. They're like or like
Yes,
animation. Like
yes.
I can't really say I even know who the members are, you know what I mean? But I know the cartoon characters, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I couldn't tell you who the bandmates. I know it's a white dude in there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, the lead singer is I guess it's out by now. There's a gentleman by the name of Damon Albarn, and
Okay,
he's like one of the main singers of a group called Blur that was very
okay,
popular in the '90s.
okay,
I'm sure you probably heard some of their music and may not be aware of who they are, but they
right,
were really popular in the '90s. Yeah, so he's like behind the cartoon. He's the lead singer of
okay.
Gorillaz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's dope because they're like a real niche band, and I feel like your music is like it's like niche hip hop kind of. You know what I mean? But
definitely.
you put people in that world too, man. And I would have loved to seen the I mean it probably still could be done. I would have loved to seen a video for Secret Wars, man. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Secret Wars 2, man. Um, but talk about that real quick because I like how you put that together and you had you know, it was like you took hip hop's dopest rappers and you put them up against different characters in the Marvel universe. Finally, but at the end, you know, you always say hip hop win though. You know what I'm saying? none of
Of
the
course,
none of
of
the.
course.
I thought that was funny that none of the characters, man, none of the Marvel cast could fuck with nobody in hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
But
Not at all.
talk about that because that's something like you know you put so much into that, man, with the different impersonations that you were doing. How hard was it, or was it hard at all for you to even create a record like that? To put yourself in a space to create a record like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's truly an example of fandom. I think first and foremost, I'm a student of the culture and I'm a fan of every artist that I featured on there, as well as many
Mm-hmm.
more. And I've always, I've been fortunate enough to be in the presence of many of the artists that are on Secret Wars. I've always humbled myself and let them know that, listen, I did this as a dedication to what you brothers and sisters have done before me, and
Mm-hmm.
also keeping in mind that it was released at a time shortly after the deaths of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G.
Mm-hmm.
And from me seeing that, I always knew that I wanted to be a healer. I wanted to be
Mm.
someone who sort of, let hip hop know that collectively, we as young people here in the wilderness of North America, we're more powerful together than we are apart. So I wanted people to know that,
That's a fact.
this is our thing, and nobody that goes up against us, we're all in this together versus whoever, whether it be uh, the powers that be, whether it be the X-Men, whether it be, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, no matter what, hip hop is an unstoppable, immovable force. So I just wanted everybody to know that this was my dedication to all of these artists and have us look at it in terms of cooperation and cooperative effort. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. The funny part about it is sometimes over the years actually performing it in front of the people that are actually on the voices that I do on the record. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? and for the most part, I got. I mean, it's strange. It would be strange sometimes because some people would just look at me like, kind of like, damn, how did he go up there and sound just like me? Like,
Yeah,
some people enjoyed it. Some people, gave me a pound and was like, yo, that was dope. And then some people
yeah.
just kind of looked like a little weirded out about it. Like, I
Uh-huh.
just remember performing it one time in front of Common, and he
Mm,
just was kind of like, he just didn't know how to take it. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, yo, is this dude kind of like, yo, is he kind of making fun of me? Like, is he kind of like, you know? So,
yeah.
that was a little weird, but for the most part, I got a positive response, and everybody knew that the first line is in the record
Uh-huh.
states, "What if I had the power to gather all of my favorite MCs?" So
Mm,
anybody who listens to that first line, they know it's coming from a place of admiration and it's
right,
coming from a place of honor.
right.
So yeah, man. So it's just that's my dedication to me being a fan of the art form and showing brothers and sisters like, yo, I got nothing but love for all these artists.
Right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, I thought those were definitely dope records. Definitely stand out records on that album, man. But
Appreciate it.
uh, Jungle Gym was that the next project for or did you have anything in between that?
Yeah, I had done a few mixtapes, mix CDs, whatever you want to call it,
Uh
in
huh.
between that. Uh, and I worked on one project called Wizard's Wardrobe that we never finished. I mean, this
Ah.
thing was like really, really ridiculous. Like, it was really, really crazy. I had like the primary producer was a gentleman by the name of Megademus
Uh
also
huh.
out of Willingboro.
Okay.
Shout out to Mega D. And then a large portion of it also by Diamond. I actually went down to Atlanta to Diamond D's house,
Okay.
and he had me record for a few days down there at his home. Um, he's one of the people that definitely helped me stay afloat during all the label problems and all of that.
Mm. How'd you
Um,
meet Diamond D?
uh, just when I was first doing the Lyricist Lounge, I reached
Okay.
out. People started learning that I was kind of like the new kid in town that was kind of making noise, and just started, mutual friends just reaching out to people like, yo, who you want to work with? I'm like, yo, I want to work with this guy, that, yo, I know him. I'll have him call you. I'll hook it up. So, you
Mm.
know, um, I developed a relationship with Diamond D probably as early as like '96, and he just kept me in the loop, kept me, afloat, kept throwing me beats and kept me working. So, um, yeah, man. So that project, at during that time, I know my mom got sick. Megademus, I think
Hmm.
his mother passed during around that time. Some
Uh-huh.
of the other members of the science team had some issues, so we kind of like put that project on the shelf, and it was dope, but it was like 80% done, and that's what kind of hurts
Mm.
to this day about it.
Hmm.
So that project kind of like fell to the wayside. I took a hiatus. Like I said, my mom passed. That kind of took. It was like a heavy blow to me
Yeah,
for a number of years dealing with that.
I can
So
imagine,
once
bro.
I got my wits about me again and felt comfortable about recording and all that, next thing you know, I come out with Jungle Gem. I meet a brother named Hop. No, actually, I knew Hop for a number of years. He's
Uh-huh.
actually one of the Roots affiliates. He's very,
Oh,
very
okay.
close with like the Roots. So um, he and I linked up again after a number of years and through my man Rucker Park, and we just started banging out songs. And the next thing you know, we got Jungle Gem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope, man. Once again, you're still staying in character, you're still staying true to your art form. But yeah, man, this joint, man. Yeah, I saw you. You got a couple videos.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's like I really like how you take on these characters and just like you know what I mean. I don't know. I just thought that this was really. I really think you just a real unique cat as far as
thank
how
you.
you approach how you would approach and how you express your music and shit like that. You know what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate
But
that, G. I really appreciate that. And I gotta say that, growing up, I always there was a show that used to come on called Saturday Matinee at the Bijou, and during that show, they would have 5 or 6 shows in between the show. So it'd be like Tarzan,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers,
I remember that.
um,
I
yeah,
remember
all
that.
of that. So those are also the influences. They went on to influence people like George Lucas, who created Star Wars, and Steven Spielberg, who created Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So, being a fan of all of their work, I always knew that as far as hip hop, I wanted to give hip hop those sort of characters. So
Yeah.
that's why I came up with Jungle Jim. He's an adventurer. He's
Mm-hmm.
uh but also a hip hopper. And the way that he explains his adventures is through hip hop. So I was very pleased to put that out, and Hawk Fillmore brought the best out of me, and that's
Yeah.
why we put out Jungle Gym in 2018.
Yeah. I think out of the projects that I listened to, I enjoyed that one, man. You know what I mean? I think you said some shit like the son of Eleanor, you took Castle Grayskull from Skeletor. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
damn, this
yeah.
motherfucker
That's
right
actually
here.
that's actually the more recent project. That's on Lord of the Fly.
Oh shit,
That's
okay.
actually
My
yeah. Lord
bad.
of the
Well, you know
Fly we
what?
put
I
out.
had them all in the I put them all on the playlist, and I had it on
Yeah,
shuffle. You know what I mean?
I got you. I
But
got you. Yeah. That's actually on Lord of the Fly. That's a record called Fit for a King.
okay.
Yeah, it's Fit for a
So
King.
talk about that. That's another dope album because I like how like I said, you know, the way you use your bars with the comics, it's like you talk about their powers, and then you talk about how you're able to use that power to fuck a nigga up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like I'm like, yo, this I don't know. I think that shit is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
you know,
appreciate it, man.
you in there saying you in there rhyming Ragnarok with shit. Like it's like, damn, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
really
yeah. Because I mean, again, you know, MCing when it's done properly, when MCs, I mean, we just already have that aesthetic. Like, just think about the first time you started really hearing like Method Man, or the
right.
first time you really started hearing like, Red Man. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Or the first time you started hearing like, like I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
But to me, the most powerful MCs is very much like having your own superpower,
Yeah.
and so when I would make records like Secret Wars and all of that, what I want people to know the most is that I didn't just take any MC and stick them with any uh, Marvel comic book hero or whatever. I
Right.
tried to really scientifically make the powers uh, complementary, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
term. So who
Right.
else better for uh, KRS-One to fight than Professor X, because they both deal with the mental.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or who else for Method Man to fight than Wolverine, because they just both have that sort of like slashing, sort of like Meth has the fangs and Wolverine's got the
Uh-huh.
claws out of his nut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or Red Man with the Incredible Hulk, they're both like larger than life.
Yeah.
Um, so I just try to have fun with it, and I think that's the common thread: having fun.
Yeah.
I had a conversation, and I want to say get well to Biz Markie. I had a conversation with Biz Markie once,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave me the most accurate yet simple way of viewing what it is we do as artists.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Look, this is just a hobby. It's something that I do as a hobby. I have fun with it. I play around with it, and hope that the people like it."
Mm.
And I said, you know what? That's how I kind of started looking at what I do. It's a
Right.
hobby. I love rhyming. It's something that I just love to do in my spare time. Fortunately enough, I don't have to make a living off of it. I do have a
Right.
regular 9 to 5 job, so that keeps the lights on.
That's
So I
real.
can do this as a hobby and really be creative with it and
Mm-hmm.
just do it for fun. I think the fun element has been missing from hip hop for a minute.
That's a
And it's
fact.
time to we just need to have fun with it again.
That's a fact, bro. Yeah, I could definitely tell you having fun. Even on that with the Jungle Gym, just your flow, you would get that, yeah, you get that real gruff, you know what I mean? Real raspy,
Right,
grimy, you know what I mean? Flow in
right,
there. Yeah, man.
right.
Definitely enjoyed that, man. Definitely enjoyed it. So you got anything new coming out that we could look forward to in 2020 or 2021?
Definitely. Well, I always wanted to have a trilogy of Last Emperor albums. Now,
Mm.
Jungle Gym and Lord of the Fly. I guess kind of like Lord of the Fly is somewhat of a Last Emperor album, so we'll say that's part two to Music Magic Myth.
Okay.
Jungle Jim stands alone. That's just a separate character. So
Yeah.
in terms of a trilogy, we have Music Magic Myth, we have Lord of the Fly, and I'm probably about 60% done the third installment of the Last Emperor series. So we
Okay.
can look for another Last Emperor album, also produced by Hawk Fillmore. That should be out probably next fall.
Yeah, he's
We're
a
gonna
dope
probably
producer, man. I was
yeah,
definitely enjoying his use of the break beats and all that kind of,
yes,
with the drums, and it was, yeah, dope
yeah,
sounds, man. Dope
yeah.
sonics.
Yeah, ever since me and him linked up, man, it's just been magic. It's just like gives me the beat. Sometimes I just automatically see what needs to go over the track, and we've been working well. And I think if you like Jungle Jim and you like uh Lord of the Fly, you'll definitely like this next project we're working
Mm.
on.
Yeah, because you put people, I like how you put people in your world. You know what I mean? I like rappers that, you know what I mean, fuck what's going on. You just put people inside your world, inside your mind. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
definitely
sir.
definitely a dope trait, man. So last imp, how can the people find you, man, on social media, man? If they, if they're looking for you, if they're trying to check out your music, man, where can people go to support your projects and shit like that, man?
Definitely. They could check me out on Twitter. That's really like the only social media that I deal with musically.
Hmm.
Um
Okay.
that's the last Emperor 13. That's THELASTEMPERO 13 on Twitter. And anytime that I launch something, I definitely release it and let people know on Twitter.
Right. Okay. I definitely was able to find your music on I mean on Apple Music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I let, especially with the more recent stuff, my man Hawk Fillmore is much more savvy
Mm.
with like how to put stuff out there. I have to admit, I am not the technological dude at all.
Right.
And so
It's
I
all
let
good.
him handle all that. But anybody that's looking for music, it's out there. It's on some stuff's on iTunes, some stuff's on Apple Music, or just Google me. Just, go online and Google me and you'll be able to find stuff for
Mm.
sure.
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. Um, brother, man, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on the show. I definitely appreciate the time that you spent to talk about your career and things of that nature, man. One of the reasons why I started this podcast was to have artists like yourself, you know what I mean, who aren't, I wouldn't say forgotten, but people need to know their story and people need to know who forefathers are and people who came before them. You know what I mean? And I definitely think that you are something that the game is missing, something that the game should definitely know about. Any project that you have coming out, anything that you want to promote, man, I want you to know that you always got a home here on the Oddcast podcast, my brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Jay. Like, it really stuff like this really makes what I do worthwhile because again, like you said, I'm an underground artist. I
Definitely.
realize that. I know I'm not large. I never blew up. So it's stuff like this is doing things like the oddcast and
But the
what you
heads
got
know
going
though.
on.
The
Yeah, yeah,
heads know
yeah,
who you
true.
are though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those that know. But definitely it's the support of brothers like yourself that really help me, you know, still do what I do, man. So I appreciate you for having me.
Yo, keep it coming, man. And like I said, I want to say thank you, man. As I was saying to my followers and my subscribers, this is our last episode for 2020, man. And what better way to end this season, this year, with us having a dope MC like the last Emperor on here. Before we go, can I get you to do a drop for me, brother? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Just to
sir.
plug the show real quick, man.
Hey, yo, 1 2 1 2. This is the last emperor, aka Jungle Jim, that get it wild like a zoo on the Oddcast podcast with Gary Gnu. Salute.
Word. Salute to you, brother. So, yo, like I said, man, going into 2021, I hope everybody have a happy and prosperous new year. And we going to see y'all soon, man. Stay tuned to the Oddcast podcast. We got a lot more coming up for y'all in the future, man. Word up, y'all. Peace.
Peace.